Oh, welcome back my gardening friends. Well, it's coming a little bit cooler and we should be thinking about some of the jobs that we need to do on our allotments, covering the beds, putting them to sleep, adding manure, whatever you feel you need to do, green manures. And another job that I do need to get done very soon because of all the wet weather we've just recently had is to get my carrots covered up, insulated. I leave my carrots in the ground, the same with the parsnips, and we'll cut all the tops off. We'll cover them with some dry cocoa coir from one of the storage areas. Sometimes it's nice to keep some of the composts dry that we find. And then normally we just cover them up with cardboard, but last year when it got to February and March, the rain, snow, wet, cold did eventually get to the carrots and they started rotting before we got to the end. So going to use a bit of plastic in a roof method so the water can run off either way. So I'll get you on the tripod and we'll do a bit of pause and record, and I may even do a quick harvest before we get them covered. So for a start off, these sweet candle carrots were planted on the 18th of April, and we've got lots and lots of mushroom activity, which is a good sign that we're growing really well. You see the water's got down to there, and that's a dry bit. I thought there was something wrong with that then, but this bed was really dry. Nice, another nice carrot. I always say that and then we end up having a bad one. Just seen one out of the corner of my eye. I might as well pull that one out. I'll take a full row. But it's nice to be able to keep these carrots in good order. So that's the last of that date. The next row were planted on the 13th of May. Try and successionally grow them. It's got a split in it. Too much water. Big split in it. And I did notice somewhere, there's quite a few actually, they've got splits in. We'll get this one because it looks like a massive split. Whether that's actually happened overnight or previous rain, but we'll check them as I cut them off. I'll get those washed, I'll get you set up, and we'll get the tops cut off. And any carrots that are looking a little bit suspect, I'll just pull them out and use them. They're not going to keep awfully well. So that's all those out. There's still a lot that have split, so we'll leave them where it is. I'm using long sleeves again. I don't know whether you can see that. Parsnip burns again, and they are burns. They do scar. Didn't learn my lesson. I'll put the video on the end screen what it can look like when I first did this many years ago. Right, time for the cocoa coir. You might think it's a little bit over the top, but when the ground does get frozen, it does insulate it well, and you can get your carrots out reasonably easy, even though these do go deep down and they're tough to get out at the best of times. But the more space you give them, the bigger they grow. So that's that all sorted, and hopefully the water will run down this way into the bottom of the bed. If not, it doesn't matter, as long as I keep as much moisture out of there now. We get the moisture that comes up through the ground, but like I said, those beds are quite dry anyway. So hopefully There'll be enough moisture there to keep them from going soft, but not too much to make them rot. And I referred to the sap out of the ends of the carrots on my arm. Cloudy day, it doesn't matter what part of the day it is. So we've topped up these temporary compost bins. We use temporary compost bins over there, and look at the claret sprouting broccoli. It's way up in the air, so this is well worth doing. Last year I put autumn leaves around. This time I've used some green manure, white clover, so that'll help stop any weeds, as you can't see any at the moment. This is the first sowing of white clover, and I will try and take out the weeds as they come, just to give them a better chance. We've had high winds and heavy rain. Always fine if I do it while I'm here. So sorry to bore you guys, but this is what you sometimes have to do. These beds have had manure, and you can see there's lots of worm activity. That thick cardboard that I managed to get does rot down quite quickly, and it is teeming with life. But just under here will be a layer of manure. Down here, look. And that is also full of life. It's down far enough not to burn the plants. Whatever we decide to grow, he gently places on there so that he doesn't trap any worms. That's how I normally do my beds. But when King Seeds at the Malvern show were doing them for £1 a packet, I think I bought 4 or 5 packets. And it's surprising how many beds it's done. Very few non-germination, so we're looking at possibly 99%. Garlic's coming through already. Took the silver skin onions, pickled those. A later sowing of white clover, and here are the winter tares. As you can see, it's lovely and sunny, but cold. And there's some of the golden gourmet shallots that we left in the ground after they went to seed. I need to tackle the outdoor tomatoes. We didn't get any crops off these. They got blight, and as you can see, it does completely devastate it. My Christmas potatoes are now inside, so now I can tackle this to get it out and in the green bin at home. And that'll go to the municipal compost heap to break down and be heated up properly. Doing as I promised, I'm watering these beds. This cocoa coir will go back into the bin, get back down to the good soil layer. Still getting tomatoes, peppers in here, and of course some are looking a little bit sad and squidgy. But time is precious at the moment for me, so if I get an hour, I try and do my best to get a good hour in to make a difference. And I'm always looking out for any of the beans that are ready to take home for drying properly, and then more seed saving. This year, with the long beans and cobra beans, I'm going to cut them off just above ground level, top the beds up with a bit of manure and compost, and let's see if they do come back next year. They say that they will. We will find out this time for sure. The rain has continually spoilt the raspberries. We do find the occasional one, but not many now. Excuse me. So on plot 1 we've also done the same. You notice these beds are a lot lower. Once these have grown, I'll chop and drop and then top up with some sifted compost from the spent potato, homemade compost, etc. But there's nothing coming through on these at the moment. I've planted some of the pups off the Kohlrabi, the giants. Looks like that one's had a bit of a nibble, but we'll see if they'll root down and survive the winter. We've got field beans in this one. Needs a little weed. Winter tares in this one, and then again field beans. There's no signs of any mouse disturbance, so they won't be long before they pop their heads up in the next week or so. But a good way of covering your beds. We did say we were going to do manure this side, green manure this side, to see if there's any difference. I'll plant accordingly to get a comparison. But it just helps protect the soil and stop the weeds taking over, so it gives you a little bit more time to yourself and making sure your partner's happy with you completing the job list at home. I need to sort this out now. We'll leave the peppers in a bit longer. The Alicante, I cut it all back and it started growing again. It will stop when we get the first frosts in the morning. That will knock a lot of things back if it's hard enough. And I'm glad that I've covered up all the soil that we've taken from up the middle of the plot where we grew the potatoes in the ground. That's why I'm not messing about with leaves this year. Good quality topsoil. There must be at least 2 or 3 tons there. You wouldn't want to have to buy it. So I'll make use of everything that's in the footpaths. And of course, no doubt it won't be long. In a couple of years we'll be harvesting that for the beds as well, because remember, if you take a ton of crops out of your growing spaces, you need to put a ton of organic materials back, or plant things that draw nitrogen out of the atmosphere into the ground like the green manures do. During any wet spells as well, we need to either take the things out of the containers or just empty them a little bit. And all this wet weather isn't helping my seed saving. Well, we just need a bit more sunshine and they'll all be ready, but we're going to have a nice cool week this week. And you know, when I threw all those polycarbonate sheets away, I now wish I'd kept them, because the rain's come in here a bit and diluted my manure more than that I'd like, but it still does a good job mixed with the rest. I've also moved my nettle bin down to here now, and I'm on the lookout for another plastic loft water storage tank to nip in there so I can grow something in it using the space where we can. And it won't be long before we can just tidy this up once all this is died back. Won't take long now. Clean it all up and then we'll probably add some manure to this year. We did wood chips last year. The grass frosts that are due shouldn't hurt the potatoes. We've got lots there, but they'll be going in the polytunnel as soon as it gets to where we get ice freezing on water. I think I'm going to reveal another swift today. It'll be with 2 seed potatoes. So this is the one off the top that would have had all that rain. 2 seed potatoes from the swift. I've had some really nice potatoes from these, but you probably see there in places we're still getting it's still dry. I'm gonna have to get myself a shelf here, he says. He buries several potatoes. wash in a minute. But Swift, they were planted, well, start of the season. I don't know whether they're first earlies or not. Don't matter. They're still looking quite nice. Minimal scab, he says, until he actually washes them. The smaller ones, if I don't want them, I'll just crush them, throw them on the footpath. They can break down with the rest. Anything a little bit bigger, lovely in the steamer. We only steam the potatoes, we don't do too much with them. But that soil is just how you want it. I know there's some potatoes in here somewhere. But we started off, and I think the seed potatoes were smaller than that, so we had 2 of those, and it's given us a nice return. Remember, all this is my homemade compost. It's got twigs in it, it's got all sorts, bits of plastic. And eventually, once it goes through the sieve and onto the beds, it makes a lovely material to grow in. We've got here a bit of wood, look. It's breaking down nicely. Put that in the path. I've got a bit of wire, look. Doesn't matter. And I will get volunteers in that bin. But the potatoes do a great job of breaking down any soil, whatever it is. While it's still a little bit warmer, let's get my cleaning implement out and I'll give you a chuckle. You know that you can't come to work, or the allotment shall we say, without your toilet brush. You never know when you might need it. Does a cracking job. Before I'm putting my gloves on. Water's a wee bit cold. Do the same with the carrots. They go in looking like that, and hopefully coming out a little bit cleaner. We don't want to lose any soil from our growing spaces. It's too precious. Give that one a clean off camera. And all the dirty water goes into the watering can so we can put it back into our growing spaces. I do spend a lot of time collecting materials, manure, the unscrupulously dumped compost, spend time mixing and planning in very little time. As you can see, it doesn't matter what we grow. The dog will love that. If cut up, he'll bounce that round the garden and eat it. And you can see there that split has happened whilst washing, but it won't hurt, and the potatoes do look in reasonable condition. So well worth the effort in everything we do. And this is where all the container compost goes. It's lovely stuff once sifted to add to the beds that are now low, that can be mixed with some of the leaf mould compost with the perlite in. I think I've got down to some now where it's actually cocoa coir with perlite in, where the other compost we found, that 3,800 litres, was just ordinary compost with the big bits in, but it doesn't matter, it'll all break down. Gives all those microbes and organisms something to chew on. And there's the cocoa coir. And then hopefully we will get some nice crops. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, thumbs down for the interaction, and why not consider subscribing to see what else I get up to. Happy gardening to you all. Till next time, my friends. Ta-ra for now.